and each person, you'll have to take 2 minutes to answer this question. We're going to start with you, Harry. Listen to Health Minister Tufton.
But on that side, they seem to be caught up in the trap of the low trust society where they probably don't trust themselves. Why they provide the argument and all these things. And it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate because if Madam Speaker, we on this side trust ourselves to go right by the people. You don't seem to trust yourself. Why you're questioning existing arrangements that are in place for oversight? So, Madam Speaker, in closing.
Harry?
Yes, neighbor.
It's a brilliant philosophical point, and it needs to be psychoanalyzed a little bit more. Is the PNP suffering from a trust deficit that they themselves are almost saying, if we had $6.7 billion, you couldn't trust us with it, so we don't trust you? Is Dr. Tufton opening up something here that we need to examine?
Neighbor, I think he's just reintroducing it and how he repackaged it to remind Jamaicans who the People's National Party are, right? As a group. Because it is a level of projection from them. So because they would do it, they don't think nobody else can do the opposite. And what that says and shows is that they don't just have sticky fingers, neighbor. They don't have the ethical factors and the moral compass to do what is right. Because they like to do what is easy. And it's always easy to do wrong. To do the right things, neighbor, takes a lot when you look in terms of where we are now, especially from them. And what they're used to no longer exists, but they want to bring it back to that. And as such, they want to look at it to say, we know what we would do. And Alfred does hint at it with what he presented, talking about Bahamas having how much oversight and money was still missing and so on. That hint, and I know a lot of people wouldn't have seen it in that way, but when you put it to what Mr. Tufton says, you see it bright as day. That they know that what would have happened if they get their hands on it, history will repeat itself. And the history here is their history, not the overarching history of Jamaica and Jamaicans. And that is problematic. It is one that also shows that the leopard doesn't change its spots, neighbor. And the leopard here is the People's National Party. It doesn't matter who they change and who they put in. It is an integral factor of them. And that, for me, what Mr. Tufton have put forward speaks volume. And I think everybody should probably play it every morning when they wake up, just to not forget who the People's National Party is and why they don't deserve. They shouldn't even have, if it wasn't for a democracy and it's on merit, they wouldn't have deserved to even be a part of this. And that is a vital factor to show who they are and that they can trust themselves. So they don't believe other people can trust who they are, what they've built on. And this administration has showed that they are for the people. They trust themselves to get the job done. The people trust them to get the job done. And after 3 terms, that trust can never be bigger. Maybe if them get a 4th term, right, to reinstate it. But it shows a rejection and the lack of trust in the People's National Party. And that is what it is coming out to, based on what Mr. Tufton has put forward, neighbor.
Fantastic. Joshua, 2 minutes.
All right, sir. I want to come out of the blocks by saying to Jamaica that we saw the most consequential bill being passed last night in the history of Jamaica. We saw which party really cares about Jamaica and which has the best interest of Jamaica at heart. And I'm saying to Jamaicans, irrespective of what you may think in terms of your political allegiance, it is needful for the Jamaica Labour Party to remain there at least for the next 15 years. Your future depends on it. And without the Jamaica Labour Party being there, we saw a demonstration of what would have happened if you choose the other side. And it's nothing but anarchy and rule breakings, right? You cannot afford for the future of your children and your retirement to be in an uncertain place. And the PNP has not shown themselves to be a credible alternative to any government, not even the other little parties that are there. They exposed themselves as being nothing but a cult last night. And one of the things that came out of it either is that because the PNP has no answer for Jamaica and no plans for Jamaica, they want to use the back door through litigations to get into Parliament. That's one of the ways. They want to use anarchy to get there. And Scratchy said a number of things. Scratchy spoke about not being able to celebrate, but I wasn't expecting that. On the 3rd of December, when we won, I told Jamaicans that the fight just began. That's what I said to them that night. And he used the analogy of running out on the field. The PNP planned two protests immediately after the election, one for December and one for July 12th this year. So look for the next protest, right, that they plan, right, come July. They already planned it in advance for because they want the government to step down. So this is not about the issues. It's about the pursuit of power and nothing else. Scratchy spoke about in campaign mode, and the best way I can put it is that a World Cup is every 4 years, right? And it's like just winning the World Cup, and then you have the playoffs for the next World Cup starting the following day. That's what the PNP did to Jamaica. So the winning team never got a chance to really look at the trophy, and the country never got a chance to look at the trophy. That's what the PNP has done to Jamaica, right? And we say that the PNP had resort in Parliament last night has resorted to nothing else but insults and barbs, as opposed to what the JLP did. Christopher Tufton and Robert Morgan, all of the others, of course, but these were the two standouts for me. Christopher Tufton and Robert Morgan showed themselves to be class act, way above anything that the PNP could ever even dream of producing. And I'm saying that we should keep our eyes closed on the next move. The PNP has tried to paint the Jamaica Labour Party as a party that cannot be trusted. I say the opposite. They having campaigned against the PM and the Jamaica Labour Party over the years as being corrupt. They cannot afford to fail, and they will not do anything to fail. And so I say to Jamaicans that may have concerns about how this money will be spent, that trust the process. The government so far has proven themselves to be one that can be trusted and has the best interests of Jamaica at heart. So continue to lean on the government, give them room to do their job, and we will see Jamaica being transformed into a first world country, right? And if not by 2030, not very long afterwards, but they need time to get the job done. God bless all of your listeners and Sheffreen, the Queen, plus Caroline. Have a good night. Protecting Scratchy, Harry, and none other than the inimitable host himself, neighbor, one of the best in town. Good night. And to
Joshua,
your listeners,
Thank you
Joshua,
so much.
listen,
Caroline's going
Thank you
to
so
ban
much.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
why should she do that? I should know that she is the best thing that since sliced bready.
Oh, oh,
No,
oh.
No,
Uh,
no, you said plus Caroline.
yeah, yeah. Let's
no
go to
man.
let's
You
go
know,
to
you know, you know,
let's
the
go to
augmentation is usually what makes the difference, you know.
let's go to protecting.
So, my true patriots, listeners, neighborites, YouTube, TikTok, the same government who built Constant Spring when everybody was saying it couldn't be done, the same ones who did Marcus Garvey Drive when everybody said it could not be done, the same ones who did Macfield to Ferris in Westmoreland, because a lot of people don't know that Andrew built a highway down there already since the first when he came in 2016. The same one who completed the highway to St. Thomas, the urban center, the same one who ordered 51 bridges from a company in England, the same one who was building a new dam. Yes, a lot of people didn't know. A new dam is being built out by St. Catherine there. That will provide 15 million new gallons of water into St. Catherine, Kingston, and St. Andrew to get rid of the water woes. The same government who built out Catherine Estate, well, there's a whole lot more to be built out. But the last time I saw some of the units over there, oh my God, spectacular. One of the time the Prime Minister toured one section and said, this is like in Miami, downtown Miami. The same government who is now widening Elsha Road in Portmore, the same government who is building a Type 5 clinic, Big Locker, the Linstead Hospital, in a Portmore now. It's not a hospital. The same one who is building one of the same size clinics in Old Harbour, Big like a hospital in a Lucy. The same one who is building the 6th floor hospital in Spanish Town. The same one who for 10 years have not had a cost overrun, no report of no money stolen, is the same one who is now putting together NARA to spend $2 trillion in the Jamaican economy. Now tell me, people, wouldn't you trust the team that have done more in less time than the group of people who have spent more money doing less in more time, and even the less what them say them do on paper, the less still can show on the ground? Don't allow yourselves to be fooled. It's a bag of noise. Don't watch the noise in the market. Watch the sale. The same government who complete the highway from Maypen to Manchester. No cost overrun. No reports of no impropriety. The same one who is now in the bush. The bushes from Williamsfield down to St. Elizabeth are planned the next leg of the highway. If you go down to Westmoreland. The same one will build the water reservoirs in St. Elizabeth. The Essex Valley Water Project. Some big old reservoir look like dam for the farmers them. The same one who just built one of the biggest state-of-the-art cold storage for the farmer them so that them goods don't spoil any longer. The same one. And with all these multi-trillion-dollar projects, not $1 is in question, and the Auditor General audits these accounts in real time. I want to sit down and make the PMP telling us there's something wrong, because they know if it were them, something would have wrong long time. Because that's all the PMP love, enough money. And what do? Mark Golden has identified the 402,000 people who voted for them. Even though about 25% of that number they bought. So what the PMP would have done, let me tell you, because I used to be a part of that process. Make sure that the 402,000 people are right. So it don't matter if 2.5 million are make nice, because 2.5 million now go vote in the election. You can always rely upon the 402,000 to vote. If they were government today, the 6.7, a matter of fact, we wouldn't get 6.7 because the international financial community does not trust the PMP. They wouldn't get no money. But whatever little they would find in the kitty when Nigel Clark left in there, stored up for emergencies like these, it would have done long time. And then they would go to the people and root themselves like Danny Buchanan did. Government is not an insurer of building. We only help people so that they can find a way to get themselves back up on their own feet. And the people have to take that.
We're out of time.
But some of us are not gracious enough to accept the group of people who have come to uplift and improve the lives of Jamaican. Who now out of ourselves, we don't know. I never hear Andrew Wallace even raising voice yet. But you don't like Andrew because Mark Bolin tell you don't like Andrew. My patriotic Jamaicans, true patriots, open your minds, eyes, think for yourselves and don't allow the PMP to take you for idiots. Good night, true patriots.
Thank you so much, Protecting Jamaica. Scratchy, you have the final word.
For me, neighbor, you know, when you look at the PNP, neighbor, you look at where Jamaica is right now to where we're coming from, neighbor, we have to be proud. You know, I talk about that this morning, neighbor, about being proud, neighbor, but what I continue to call for, neighbor, is persons who consider themselves well-thinking Jamaicans, neighbor. Persons who consider themselves not to be a part of any political organization or any political divide.
Yes.
They brand themselves as being the neutrals, neighbor. These persons, neighbor, they are too silent. When time certain things happen, neighbor, these persons remain silent, and we need these persons to be more vocal, because once you get these persons to be more vocal, neighbor, that is when, neighbor, PNP, Member of Parliament, neighbor, will start to look into themselves and take things more serious, neighbor, because, as I said earlier, neighbor, if all the supporters of the Jamaica Labour Party is calling out the PNP mishaps and the PNP discuss, neighbor, it is not going to get any real merit that it's supposed to get, neighbor. It is going to be seen as political. It's going to say, oh, because we are Labour, right? And they know, say, yeah, we support the Jamaica Labour Party and the government, neighbor. So it doesn't seem like a tit for tat. You do this already, me do that already, neighbor. So the ones who call themselves the neutrals, neighbor, they are the ones, neighbor, who need to make them, they make them voice more vocal, neighbor. That's why the PNP continue to do what the PNP is doing, neighbor. Continue to be an opposition party, neighbor, and continue to move as if Jamaica is a coalition government, neighbor. Because, neighbor, whenever they do their mishaps, whenever they reach into some time of foul act, neighbor, the full, neighbor, penalty is not meted out to them, neighbor. They are not called out by media. They are not called out by civil society. And they are not called out, neighbor, by well-thinking Jamaicans. So that is why these guys continue to do what they are doing, neighbor. It is getting to a boiling point now where we see opposition, where this opposition party, neighbor, is none like any other opposition we have seen before, neighbor. Where this is probably the worst opposition that we've ever seen, ever. And as I said before, neighbor, it is as a result of who the leader is. And you know, we always talk about the co-leaders, neighbor. Both Sylvester and the other one there, neighbor. So both of them, neighbor, when you look at them, neighbor, you have to understand, neighbor, that these guys, neighbor, are really the ones, neighbor, who's the reason why Jamaica is suffering from a lot of what we are suffering now, neighbor. Because when you look at even the two co-leaders of the People's National Party, neighbor, and I made reference to this morning, neighbor. When you hear Christopher Tufton talking about who don't trust themselves, neighbor, and who don't trust themselves, they don't trust themselves, neighbor. Both Sylvester, neighbor, and Garfield, neighbor. Sylvester and Garfield, neighbor, use certain information, inside information that they have, neighbor, in their respective role that they were offering, neighbor, to the present government at that time, neighbor. They knew what was going on with the system, neighbor. They knew, they have an idea of the numbers, and they bet, neighbor. They put a wage on, neighbor, and the backs of the suffering and the Jamaicans, neighbor, and the business class and the middle class of Jamaica, neighbor. And it was so sad, neighbor, that the economy crashed. And while the economy crashed, neighbor, Sylvester and Garfield, neighbor, were the two winners, neighbor, out of almost 2 million people at the time. So it goes to show, neighbor, that is why now Sylvester and Garfield now, neighbor, the table have turned. And they are now both in leadership position or leadership role in a political organization, neighbor, while in government that they benefit and enrich themselves from. So now when they see the Jamaica Labour Party now coming now with a bill like Nara, neighbor, they hear the extent of the cash amount, neighbor, over $3 trillion or stuff like that. So this, neighbor, rose them, neighbor, and we must also take in consideration, neighbor, that both Sylvester and Garfield, neighbor, they are bankers, neighbor. They are money sharks. When they hear about these type of figure, neighbor, all they can see, neighbor, is how they can piggyback off the back of it, what part or portion of this that they can get, because they are bankers, neighbor, and all them can see is profit. So What they want to do now, neighbor, is try to see how best they can stop the Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, from doing this, because they are of the belief, neighbor, that the same way how they govern, that is how the Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, govern, neighbor, through nepotism or cronyism, neighbor, or giving person inside information as to how the numbers of the economy look at the time, neighbor. So persons can put wages, neighbor, on the backs of poor people, at the backs of our middle class, neighbor. Where we see the middle class, neighbor, middle class crumbled as a result of Sylvester and Garfield. So I must say, neighbor, that Sylvester and Garfield, neighbor, are two persons who should never in the history of Jamaica never be a part of our political system, neighbor. Because when the rest of the country, neighbor, was weeping and mourning, Sylvester, neighbor, and Garfield, neighbor, were reaping profit after profit, neighbor, because they knew what was going to happen, neighbor, and put a wager on the back of this country's economy, neighbor. Border treason, neighbor, financial treason, neighbor, and financial treason must keep borders. And I definitely think, neighbor, that Sylvester and Garfield, especially, neighbor, should not be a part of this parliamentary system, should not ever hold any form of government structure or any parliamentary position in Jamaica, neighbor, because of how they benefited, neighbor. And we still haven't reached full potential, neighbor, as a result of FinSac. Because when FinSac crashed, neighbor, and both Garfield and Sylvester benefited, what Sylvester and Garfield did, neighbor, was take away, neighbor, from the resources, neighbor, to fully fund the police force at that time, neighbor. Take away, neighbor, from the resources, neighbor, to fully pay public sector workers at that time, neighbor. Take away from the resources, neighbor, to fully furnish and refurbish hospitals and health centers, neighbor. Take away the resources, neighbor, to fully roll out Jamaica road network and stuff like that. So both Sylvester and Garfield, neighbor, are two persons in the history of Jamaica, neighbor, who benefited off the backs of Jamaica, neighbor, break a wage on the back of Jamaica, neighbor, and they came out successful. They won that wage, neighbor, in contingent, neighbor, with the present government of the time, neighbor. And all I can say again, neighbor, in closing, is that the man, and I don't mean anything bad by this, neighbor, but the man, neighbor, who conceptualized, the man who formed the People's National Party, neighbor, he did Jamaica grave injustice, neighbor, when he went into his thoughts, neighbor, and his mind, neighbor, and created this political organization called the People's National Party, neighbor. The People's National Party is the biggest disgrace to Jamaica, neighbor, is the biggest destruction to Jamaica, neighbor. PNP is 10 times Hurricane Melissa. PNP is 10 times poverty. PNP is 10 times unemployment. Neighbor, the PNP is the reason why Jamaicans are suffering. The PNP is the reason why our road network was in the condition it is in. The PNP is the reason why our schools nearby is in the condition it is in, neighbor. PNP is the reason why our hospitals are in the condition it is in, neighbor. Look at how police were, neighbor, and the PNP. Yeah. Police never have vehicle. Police never have nothing. Neighbor, the People's National Party did this country a grave injustice, neighbor. And Sylvester and Garfield, who are both the co-leaders of that organization right now, who has also damaged that organization, neighbor. They are nothing but destruction, neighbor. And they will always choose destruction over construction. Because based on their profession, neighbor, all they can see is profit, neighbor. These guys don't know nothing about it. These guys don't appreciate loss. All they can see is profit. I know they can benefit off the backs of well-thinking Jamaican. And when Jamaicans went out September 3rd, neighbor, and gave Andrew Michael Wonis and the Jamaica Labour Party this unprecedented third term, neighbor, every single person who voted for the Jamaica Labour Party should be proud of themselves, neighbor, should be so proud of themselves to know that you helped save this nation. You all, with the dip of your finger in that ink, you helped save Jamaica. You played a vital role in saving Jamaica more than any other thing what you could have done. You played a vital role in that in Jamaica, neighbor, from Sylvester and Garfield. Because if we had a return of Sylvester and Garfield, I can tell you, neighbor, they are both two cats, neighbor, but dog with a name was supper.
Thank you so much, Krusty. Thank you so much for such a brilliant summary of tonight's program.